Joining us in the studio is Michael Eisenberg, founder and partner in the venture capital fund Aleph. Shalom.
Hi, Yoni. How are you?
Fine. And we're talking today about a third book in a series that so far is in Hebrew. I understand that it'll be in English soon. Talking about the connection between the ideas and the stories that we see in the Bible and the Torah and today's economy and financial issues. How does it all connect?
Well, it's the then economy and the now economy. After I released my first book, Rabbi Benny Laus said he learned one thing important from the book. People haven't changed in thousands of years. The issues of family, of business, of economics were true then and are true now. And we just need to take the lens and look at the Bible and look at the Torah with this point of view, and we can discover absolutely amazing things. As you mentioned, the first volume is coming out in English in September, please God. It'll be called The Tree of Life and Prosperity in English.
And it'll be about the first book of Genesis, of Bereshit. And that's a book with many stories. But you say, no, we can learn from these stories issues that are relevant today. Of course, relevant on the ideological issue, but you're saying on the practical financial level.
Absolutely. For example, New York City mayoral candidate and former presidential candidate Andrew Yang is spending a lot of time talking about universal basic income. This idea that if we give people money, they will do productive and creative things. Mark Zuckerberg has touted this idea. Elon Musk has touted the idea. The Bible, the Torah, in the first parsha, in the first portion of Genesis, actually gives us a model of what happens when you have universal basic income. There's Adam in the Garden of Eden, and we won't get into the intricacies of the verses right now. And everything is provided for him. He's got everything. The fruit grows on the trees, the grass, which means the wheat, is growing. And what happens to Adam? First he begins a search along the rivers and he gets bored. He finds a little gold, he finds some precious stones. But then he gets bored in the fourth river, which is the Euphrates River. It's just a river. And then he comes back to the Garden of Eden, and of course he sins because he has nothing to do. And he doesn't explore his creative energies in any way. And Adam eats from the tree given to him by Eve. He's so bored they talk to the serpent. And only when they leave the garden and the thorns and thistles begin to grow outside the garden does Adam begin to work. And when he begins to work, you know what happens to Adam? He has his first child. We only become productive when we begin to work. People become bored when they get universal basic income from God or the state.
Wow, so you're telling us that this is all connected. Now, how do your audience relate to that? I'm saying the book didn't come out yet, but when you talk to people about these issues, don't they say, you know, it's nice, it's from then, but now we have enough models to work upon?
You know, could be. Most people tend to believe that things change. In general, things are cyclical. They don't change. When the first book came out, it was, my response was divided into three. Oh, this is really interesting. I never looked at the Torah that way, or never looked at the economy that way. Other people thought it was too preachy because what does the Bible, of course, have to say about economics? And some people thought, how could this possibly be relevant? But I actually think in today's modern age, people are looking for connection, and we need to look to primary sources and first principles. And there is no primary source or first principle more important than the Bible. By the way, it has the highest number of users of all time in all generations, more than Facebook, more than Google. More people have read the Bible than anything else. It's had more commentaries heaped on it. And so it's a foundational document for everything, especially the economy.
Now, one of the issues that we're seeing in the Parshiot, the portions of the week that we're reading nowadays, is the issue of Shemitah, that every 7 years we stop working the land. Something that sounds very anti-economy, anti-financial. You're saying, no, we have to learn from that as well.
We absolutely do, and this is on two levels. So for those who don't know, Shemitah, the 7th year is the sabbatical year, where the Bible says you need to stop working the land. Not only do I stop working the land, I make my produce available for the poor people and for the animals to come and partake of it. This is actually an amazing idea. It's hard to implement in a modern agricultural economy, really, really hard, especially one with global distribution. So every 7 years in Israel, we have this argument between the ultra-Orthodox and the national religious population as to what to do. The national religious population, like they sell the chametz, the bread before Pesach, we all do, say we can sell the land and we'll just work it almost like regular. And the ultra-Orthodox say, no, we can't do it when you have it lay fallow. We'll bring in from Turkey or Spain produce. That feels to me like a terrible idea too. But maybe there's a third path where we can implement the principles, which is we need to open up the economy to people of less means, create more brotherhood between people so that someone can walk into my field, take my produce, or can get something. And then there's another layer. The same Shemitah, sabbatical, has another layer, which is the Torah says every 7 years we release people in debt from their debts, from their personal debts. Now that's hard to do also in a modern economy, but we can figure this out, especially post-COVID, post-corona, where there's so many people in debt, so many businesses on the verge of bankruptcy. What we must do is find a way through crowdfunding, through partnerships with the banks, with the government, with individuals, to go out and help people get out of debt.
Now, you're a part of the Aleph Venture Capital Fund. Do you implement these ideas? I mean, it's really nice that you're writing and telling others to, but do you?
So we certainly try to. So for just an example, we recently announced an investment in a company called Empathy.com. What does Empathy.com do? It's for next of kin. People who have a relative who passed away, and managing the bureaucracy around this and the financials around this is miserable. It is a miserable experience. And we can digitize this and make this a much better experience. Take another example, Lemonade, where I was fortunate to invest, public company now on NASDAQ. They changed the insurance model to make it more values-based and more aligned. The worst experience anybody has in life is an insurance company. You file a claim, the insurance company makes money when you lose money. Lemonade said, no, we're going to create a values-based insurance company. We're going to take a fixed fee so we have zero incentive to deny your claim. And this what makes Lemonade the fastest growing insurance company in the world, because it's based on values. And by the way, leftover premiums are given to charity of the policyholder's choice. We can reconstruct 21st century businesses using technology and time-honored values that make them the most impactful and important brands of the 21st century.
Okay, so last but not least, as we go and listen to what you're telling us today, we're going towards socialism or capitalism?
So a lot of people think the capitalist model is broken. We know socialism doesn't work. And what I'm after is what I call the economics of brotherhood or fraternity, which is every individual in society has a responsibility to his fellow. That is, the economy is not going to grow if we have too many people who can't make ends meet, who don't have the skills to compete in the 21st century economy. And the government is moving way too slow. We can't wait for governments to do this. We must, as a polity, as a population, as a civic society, drive this change to enable everybody to compete in the 21st century economy.
Okay, Michael Eisenberg, very, very interesting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yoni.
That's great.